This is where the fun begins.
Someone asked me to give the best reason why someone should read the expanded universe. After giving it a lot of thought, here's what I have to say. The expanded universe respects the reader. In the expanded universe, Luke Skywalker's optimism continues where it left off in Return of the Jedi. He's fulfilled hope to the galaxy just like Obi-Wan said he would, not like the Disney movies where he gave up on the Jedi or even the whole galaxy for that matter. The character you see in those movies is not Luke. Luke isn't a quitter. He's not a pessimist. He's a leader. He's inspirational. And he's always there for his friends in times of need. Another character is Han Solo. He's introduced to us in A New Hope as a loner, a man who cares only for himself and nobody else. But by the end of Return of the Jedi, that all turns around when he finally finds friends he can trust and a true love to spend the rest of his life with. And that's exactly what he does in the expanded universe. Han is a devoted husband and father to Leia and their kids. He loves his family above all else. In the new movies, Han turns out to be a selfish deadbeat dad who ran out on his family when things get tough. It's a complete 180 from the character that we saw from Return of the Jedi. Now, another thing the EU does is it rewards its readers. Attention to detail when it comes to continuity has never been done at such a level as when it was performed by the expanded universe. Avid readers will constantly be rewarded for their diligence as comics, novels, video games, and even children's books share connections throughout the entire series, making it almost a flawless, continuous story. And though it has its minor flaws, it's still the best overall story and continuity out there, period. That's what the EU does. It respects and rewards its readers. And that's the best reason you should give it a try. Long live the expanded universe.
I had fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the new Jedi Order.
Are you sure? So be it.
Hello, everyone, and did you miss me? I sure the hell missed you. I had a great, I guess you could say almost a week, 5 days or so of training and visiting family and connecting with friends. And yeah, the thing I missed was my Thursday morning CAF chat because during that time I was heading to Colorado. So I caught my flight, so there was no way to have a CAF chat last week. So here we are. Back at it again, always not giving up on my channel or my CAF chat or any new productions that I have in the works now. So yeah, so welcome, welcome, welcome. What is in your mug? What are you enjoying as you sit down to listen and participate in the chat with what we're going to discuss here today? I see that Soul Assassin came in. He came in early. Woo! Okay, Vato, you just bright and early, ready to go. All right. So hello, my fellow jerks and jerkettes. Please hit that like button and share the stream out. Yes. Oh my goodness. So some interesting things had happened just within the last 24 hours. And, you know, I'm quiet when I'm gone. Usually there's stuff going on when I'm gone and I'm getting DMs and people getting a hold of me like, hey, did you see this? So-and-so said this about Star Wars or Disney Star Wars or this and that happened. Did you see this in the news about, you know, Disney Lucasfilm or Disney Star Wars or Kennedy or whatever, or anti-EUism that goes on? You know, it has its ebb and flow. And I'm pretty sure as soon as we get closer to the date of Andor to the Disney Star Wars faux show. I miss that. I do. I miss the spacing. We'll see more anti-EUism, right? And well, apparently all of us EU people, you know, that have a strong voice against Disney Star Wars and will tear it down, compare and contrast, whatever you want to call it. We are jerks because we do that, because we don't consider people might be so sad that, you know, that it'll hurt their poor little hearts that we talk against something they like. Well, get over it, you know. Ever since the buyout and the EU was tossed in general, us EU fans been dealing with that for a very long time. Now is this fighting fire with fire? No. We have the right to stand up against what Disney is doing to our beloved platform, or not platform, beloved franchise. And it's revisionist history, I guess you could say, and how it treats its fan, and it continues, and how its fans treat the long-term fans. So if you get upset because I critique and I talk against and towards and debate and basically put people in their place regarding the EU, you need to grow some fucking balls. That's all I got to say about that. Anyways, it's not about this. We're about here to have fun and sit down and talk real Star Wars, you know, Gatekeeper Alliance here. And I can't wait to be finally on the show again. Sorry for the last couple ones. It's just timing happens and shit happens. And I am here and I am with and I am a part of the Gatekeepers Alliance. Star Triggered. Here we go. All right. So follow me on Twitter. Thank you, Soul Assassin. Check out my merch. I do have merch at Redbubble. I am considering on changing my merch platform, and then also finishing up my gallery on my webpage so that you guys can get fine art prints of not only my Star Wars paintings that I do, but also any type of painting you want to get to hang up on your wall, courtesy of moi. Okay. You get your books here, thrift books, yes. Jerks. All right. Somehow OG has returned. All right. It's still time OG. Usually it takes a few days before time runs out to respond to BS. And the backseaters here. What's up? Hail, Alora. Hello, how are you doing? And Scran here. Hey, what's up, Scran? Ooh, I'm still working for another hour. This will see me through it. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you are tuning in while you work. Whistle while we work. Da, 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 da. You know, the original Snow White. But, you know, I'm not interested in, you know, watching these remakes and stuff like that, and even watching Snow White right now. If I did decide to watch Snow White just out of like, oh, I remember when I was a kid and I watched this kind of deal, it would be original Snow White. But then again, it's Disney. But I was, since I brought that up, I was sitting talking to my sister and my nieces, and they're Mexican and Native American and Filipino. And what was crazy is that they went in to watch Snow White. She went in to take her girls, and they were basically very offended and upset about how they remade Snow White and the whole story, and how they were pushing the agenda to appease for the brown-skinned people, and how they said that how she got the name Snow White and all that. I mean, I got a whole fucking earful about how it was very off-putting for them to sit down and see this remake, not remaster, but remake, and using the brown skin people as a tokenism to give them a Snow White story that seems to appease them. They didn't like it. They did not like that at all. So it was an interesting conversation. Yes, submit to Matt Wilkett. Submit to Matt. Subscribe to Matt. I hope you're listening, Matt, and you got a good giggle of that. Submit to Matt Wilkins right now by going to his channel. Damn it. Hello, Diddley Squad. How are you doing? So, OG, quick non-Star Wars question. Team Spartacus or Team Crixus? Spartacus. Spartacus. I kind of am all for him right now. Although I do see some things how he was used, and these guys were fucking brainwashed. But anyways, it's not about Spartacus, but I am watching the show. In fact, after I'm done here, I think I'm gonna put it on. I'm at the part where it shows Crixus how he was found, and I don't know if it's season 2 now. I don't know. I lost track. I'm just watching back to back to back. I'm not keeping track of where I'm at exactly. But yeah, so it's Crixus. It's his backstory that's being shared right now, and the backstory of everything before Spartacus was captured. But yeah, it's a good. I like it. I love the show. I love the plot and the story behind it. And yes, it's very, very mature. Good morning, Darth Ghostface. How are you doing? Oh yeah, and you guys, I forgot. I did announce, but I forgot to announce officially when we were live the last time. I do have new emojis for members. And by the way, you guys, if you're not a channel member, what the fuck are you waiting for? $1.99. Join us. Join and then join us for the Dark Forces Rebel Agent Listen Party coming up this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. We had a fucking good time. It was great. We got to listen and chat in the chat about the story, the first installment of the Dark Forces novella, Soldier for the Empire. I highly recommend it. We had at least one person, first time listening or getting into the Dark Forces story, and it was amazing how they responded to it and how they're like, this is fucking Star Wars. This is how it's supposed to be. So become a channel member, you guys, and join us this Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Dark Forces Rebel Agent. If I haven't made the link yet, if I need to push the time frame back a little early for those who are out of state or even on the East Coast, I can do that because I have not, but 7:30 seems okay right now. So let me know in the chat. I have them scrolling down and going through your guys' comments right now. So let's see how we can do this, but become a channel member and join in. But with that, it's through StreamYards, but I'm doing webinar. So once I have the link up, it'll be shared here on my channel under members only. Members only. That sounds funny. And where you click, you do have to register for the link. And then once you register, the link will be sent to your email. Put it on your calendar, on your phone, what time it starts, but the link will be sent to you and we will be ready to go at that time. Martial Arts Legends, sup OG? Sup, what you doing, martial arts? How are you doing? All right. Good day, everyone, from the Basco scenario. What's up? I like your emoji character. And then we have Conrado. I almost said Coronado. It's been a while since I screwed that up. Got to do that once in a while. How are you doing? Fellow Filipino. Glad to see you. What's with the tubes on the Duro's neck? I believe it's that tube on was it Arcade? I think it's because he was injured or something. I don't know. Let's see here. And all right, you guys are saying hello. So today's agenda is we will get into, of course, our Lucas facts, our book of the week. We will get into, I didn't look up any type of news, Disney Star Wars news, but we will then get into New Jedi Order. We are talking about the rescue of Leia and the fall of Duros. So this right here, I thought was very important when I was going through, like, deciding yesterday when I was prepping for CAF Chat, what are we going to end the balance point timeline with? And why not talk about Leia being captured? She's the one that has been overseeing refugees, making sure that they have a place to land on, getting them away from the Vong. And every time, it's like every corner she took or every step she took, every which way they went to the planet, it seemed like the Vong were just right behind them. So it's a very interesting conversation right there. And then the fall of Duros. What happened with the fall of Duro? So I figured we'll do that because when we get into Edge of Victory, that is a huge, it's a duology. There's a lot going on in that book. And like I said, we're not reviewing these books, but we're using them as a time placement of what we're talking about, what's going on during that time with the invasion by the Yuuzhan Vong of the galaxy. And and so there's going to be a lot going on once we get to the Edge of Victory. So, I mean, it's like we have the new Jedi Purge. There's so much shit going on. The fall of Yavin, the capture of Tahiri. Even Anakin Solo gets, basically quote unquote captured, but there's a reason why he goes in. He's infiltrating to go rescue Tahiri. You also get the Talon Card helping with the younglings and housing them and finding a shelter in the Maw, and the birth of Ben Skywalker and all of that. So there's a lot going on during that time period. In fact, we still got to talk about, the state of the New Republic, the invasion so far. So there's so much going on with that duology. And so I figured, well, we'll chill a little bit more before we get into that. And we'll talk about the rescue of Leia. And she almost fucking dies. Yeah, she does. But, and we never, during the time, if you're reading these books, I would say were coming out, you knew after like a few deaths already, like Chewie's death, that no one is safe. So when you are reading Balance Point and Leia's basically on her deathbed being rescued by her son, you're like, oh fuck, is she the next one to die? Because they raised the stakes in the New Jedi Order. I mean, that's probably why a lot of people I wouldn't say a lot of people. That's why I would say people didn't like the dark storylines of the New Jedi Order because no one was safe. It wasn't the usual, oh, they're in trouble. Oh my God, they all, and they finally defeated, blah, blah. It's not this like, events happen and the heroes overcame and now on to the next story. It's not that whatsoever. And it's been apparent. So if you're reading through the New Jedi Order right now, that's cool. If you haven't started, start now. It's not too late. I would love to hear from you guys where you're at with your reading, or if you're going to begin. And if it's your first time or you're rereading like I am, that's pretty cool. So let's see here. Laura, that dude we tag teamed on Twitter rage quit. What? Oh. Wow, I didn't. You're gonna have to DM me that and show me what was said and stuff. And Soul Assassin says, she missed us. We're cool. I did miss you guys. You guys are friggin' amazing. And if you're listening on the Twitter end, thank you so much. You feel free to come over on this side on the YouTube and get in the chat and have a conversation. Yeah, that's what this is about. Sitting back with our CAF or whatever drink you're having, because I know I'm morning time where I'm at, but you could be somewhere else in the world. And so you might have a heavier drink. And that's cool. That's okay. That is awesome. And let's see here. Where were you last week? I was on my way to training and then visiting family. And that's what happened. So I know, I was like, what happened? Where were you? I got the nectar of the gods. Awesome. And then Anakin Batsy is here. What's up? All right. I recently purchased a Yuuzhan Vong to go with my new Jedi Order Luke figure. Oh, that's pretty cool. That is freaking cool. I got ice cold water. We all need water in our life that keeps our bodies energized. I will always stress that. Right? Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I thought I'd seen that, but I wasn't sure. So, but hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's see here. Who else is in here? Subscribe to Gatekeepers Alliance right there. Go back and watch. I have to go watch it myself. I think maybe I'll make some time and sit down and see what our guys in Gatekeepers Alliance did with the show and what they talked about. I have an idea, but having an idea of what was being developed for the show versus when the show happens and how it plays out is two different things. So I'm excited to sit down and rewatch and support my fellow guys in Gatekeepers Alliance. So happy to be a part of that. And, and with our stance against Disney, Star Wars, and all those who push the agenda of that and the revisionist history and all. So, yeah, let's see here. My mom is considering going to see Snow Brown. Send help. Oh, my God. She might come out pissed. My sister and nieces did. And you know what? They're not big into the pop culture news and what's going on in pop cultures and stuff like that. They're not like me. And I don't talk to them much about anything with that regarding that. There's so much other things we talk about and I don't hardly get to see them. So when we sat down and talked about that, when she was like, oh my God, Alora, it was basically refreshing to know that what we have been talking about with, this diversity recasting and stuff like that Hollywood's been doing, and Disney is a part of that, is what we're talking about is being seen, right? It's being seen and not very much liked. The martial arts says, OG, didn't they fix something with the EU like the Chosen One prophecy, like retconning Palpatine coming back and the Plagues novels expanding the Chosen One prophecy? They never retconned anything. So, but you're talking about Dark Empire. Are you talking about... Are you okay? Yeah, so you're talking about Dark Empire. Well, when Dark Empire came out, there wasn't a Chosen One prophecy yet. That idea wasn't really out on the table, according to George. And so during that time, it didn't mess up anything. And then even if you look at it now, it still doesn't mess up the fact that, like the Chosen One prophecy happened and was fulfilled. Because when you look at prophecies in general, and I'm just talking in general, I'm not talking about Star Wars because there's no law on that, on how long a prophecy or that Chosen One prophecy is supposed to take place, or how long it's supposed to last. But when you look at prophecies, the prophecy is only about the event that happens at the time, right? But then it doesn't say how long the effects of it will happen. All it is about is changing course on something very weird or odd or bad happening to course correct something, right? And that's what Anakin did. So I hope that makes sense to you guys when you think about that. That's what Anakin did. He course corrected the imbalance from what the Sith caused. They caused an imbalance. And what is that imbalance? Well, it's going to the dark side. There was so much dark side, in the galaxy. There's so much darkness in the galaxy that it needed to be corrected. And when you listen to George Lucas himself, the light side, or the force, the light side, is the balance. And so, but it doesn't say, the prophecy doesn't say how long it should last or what will happen. And some people will say, well, because Luke and Leia were the chosen one's kids, that it still fell within the chosen one prophecy, which we could debate about this all day long. It'd be a great conversation. Maybe when I have a chance for us to review and talk about the Dark Empire timeline, that little bit of timeline, we can get more into there. There's so much we can do. And I think the way I am even dissecting the New Jedi Order with events going on and talking about the state of the galaxy during the time, instead of just the books itself, I think that this is this is something I want to apply to all eras of Star Wars. So once I get into the New Republic, or once we go back in time or forward in time, that we will do the same thing and talk about the events and what's going on, not just about the books and stuff. Because I think it's very important to see, look at this as a historical event than just the books, So if that makes sense, you guys, I don't know. I'm not rambling. I could go on like this for days, but we don't have days here, right? And we have a schedule to maintain. Let's see here. That's not Snow White. It's Stand Brown. That's hilarious. And George Lucas was involved in the Darth Plagueis novel, right? Yes, he was. Yes, sir. Submit. Submit. Let's see. Peter Dinklage is one of the uncredited writers. All right. Let's see here. Mike Casillas is here. We're a bunch of losers jealous of theory and caring about the EU, but it's totally normal to make 50 to 100 videos about the financials of princess movies. Right? And the thing is, and then it's a weird state we're in, because it's like they're saying, don't talk about anything you want to talk about because you're going to hurt this person. You're going to hurt that person. So don't talk about hating Disney Star Wars. Don't talk about what you hate in Star Wars in general or whatever. I don't know, because you're going to hurt someone, or you're going to have this person turn away from Star Wars because you're expressing hate against something, or you're talking against someone here, or you're doing this over here. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like people need to fucking grow thick skin. It's ridiculous. And of course, as usual, our lawn person's here. Hello. I can hear they're using the weed eater right now. But anyways, it's crazy. It's like people nowadays can't hear negative things because it'll hurt their feelings and turn them away from whatever that you're talking about. But the real thing is if you really like a franchise or something so much, you're going to care less about what people have to fucking say about it. Now, when you like something so much and you see the new owners destroy its legacy, yes, you're going to talk about that. And those people who can't deal with that, fucking grow thick skin. I swear to fucking God. It's like, I'm a woman and I have bigger balls than you. Oh my God. And yes, Greg, he loves it when I talk this way. And I miss you, Greg. But I'm serious. It's like these people are fucking such wimps. They don't have thick skin. Oh my God. I get heat so much about the EU and about it being canon. And, you know, I could barely post. I could post a positive thing about the EU and still get shills coming and calling me all kinds of shit, getting DMs in my in my DM box talking shit about me. But do I cease? Do I stop? No fucking way. Because I love this original Star Wars George Lucas era so much. I'm going to be that thorn in your fucking ass. I'm going to trigger you. I don't give a damn because you're the weak. You're the weak one, not me. You're the fucking weak one. All right. I'm on a tangent again. Let's come back. We've been here for like almost a little over half an hour. I love when OG is hyper. I'm feeling good despite like my allergies and shit kicking in, but I'm feeling great. How about you guys? Happy to be back. American Counter, what's up? How are you doing? I think I got everybody here. Let's see here. So you hear that? I apologize. And they're right by my window or coming near it or something. So I apologize, but it's just it is what it is. The tube is supposed to be to form what I heard a prevent being forced choke. What? The tube is supposed to form what I heard is prevent being a forced choke. Okay, what? Okay. Every step you take, every move you make, they'll be watching you. I forgot how young Ben was during the Vong War and Legacy era. Yes. So he is born the second book of Edge of Victory called Rebirth. So he's just a baby. He's just a baby when in the middle, because we're coming to the middle of this event, I guess you could say, this war. And, you know, he is born. And so he's just a baby. The writers got a lot of hate for Chewie's death. Yes, correct. And then, okay, Iron Inquisitor is in the house. Good morning to you and Mr. Dystopian. I'm going through now, not just talking to everybody just yet, because we've got to stay on schedule, get into our first Lucas Facts and then Book of the Week. If you follow me on Twitter, you will see as I prep for CAF Chat, you might get hints to what is going to be Book of the Week, even though I don't spoil it. And by the time we get into CAF Chat on our Thursday morning, they are scheduled to go out on Twitter, so you can even go over there and sneak peek at what it is. But yeah, so our Book of the Week and Lucas Facts coming up. But you will see, if you follow me, you will get hints to, even if I don't say anything, you might get hints to what the Book of the Week is by what I share. And that's just how it goes. Let me see. Will you be on the next Star Triggered stream? Yes, because I'm still a part of them. It's just the timing and I'm done with training for now. And so next one, I'll be there. I'm friggin' excited because I love what we're doing with it. And I love how we're bringing to light, you know, the shills and the events going on with Disney Star Wars and basically the state of Star Wars and other franchises too. So yeah, and we have a great team because we all have our own perspectives and our own ways of bringing to light what's going on. And so I think we're a great fucking team. And I'm proud to be a part of that, be brought in. Now, I don't tear down shills, or not tear down, well, I guess you could say, I don't expose, that's a better word, shills on my channel, but I do it on Twitter. So I provide a lot of content for some of these guys, and then I go back and support them with their YouTube, with their YouTube and sharing, shill of the week and all this other stuff, because I want to keep track of what's going on that end as well. Let's see here. Just got them to watch the Snow White and the Huntsman movie, the ones with Chris Hemsworth. Oh, you shit, I almost forgot about that. I think he means the prophecy of the twins the holocron helps gave Leia said it. Oh, maybe. Yeah, I forgot all about that. Thank you. It's been it's been a while since I sat down and reread Dark Empire and the prophecy and all that. Who knows? But thank you for reminding me. Missy bringing Palpatine back in post Return of the Jedi story makes the story of episode 1 through 6 pointless. Not necessarily, because he wasn't fully back and there's so much going on with that. But yeah, that's for another time, another conversation. And what's up, Star Wars Marvel purist? Another one of my mods. So how are you doing? Thank you for jumping in. And I did catch your show. I sometimes I miss when like Purist and like Grizzy goes live, and sometimes I have to go rewind because they're still live, but they're almost over the show. So I rewind and begin from the start while they're still live, so I can catch up with what's going on in the world of Star Wars Marvel Purist or Grizzy or even Darth Malvin or Knights of Malvin. Let's see here. The galaxy was so dark, you'd think it was going through an emo phase. All right, let's see here. All Disney shills and fence riders will feel the embrace of pain gatekeep. Yes, the embrace of pain. I'm going to have to do a video, like a little video clip on the embrace of pain. I have all these fucking ideas. I just need to sit down one day and just lock myself in my art studio, paint, and put together some clips and stuff like that, and go for it and just streamline my channel a little bit more. Yeah, it's fun being a creative. It is fun. All right, with that being said, I know I might have missed some of you guys. I see Swift -1. Hello, what's up? I might miss saying hello to our important conversation, a conversation that we've been talking about. Not intended. We do have a schedule to keep to this. So let's get with this and see what the Lucas fact is of the week. But first off, let's go ahead and check this out.
The fate of the galaxy is now in your hands. With the new LEGO Star Wars Slave One, you can load Captain Solo, arm your weapon systems, man the cockpit, and take off with the most feared ship in the galaxy. But watch out for rebel ships. No matter the enemy, no matter the firepower, you control the action. With the new LEGO Star Wars collection.
CAF. Lots of it. For me and for the Ready Room. I have a feeling this mission is not one we can fly in our sleep.
Good old Wedge Antilles.
That's great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
All right. Can you hear me? Testing. I think I figured this out. Let me know. Can you hear me? Testing, testing, testing. I think I have to include my little icon in here. I'm right behind it. So hopefully you could hear me. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? All right. So Lucas fact. I guess you guys can hear me because I can see my little dude, my little avatar. Awesome. So it's awesome. Okay. So this is from Making of Star Wars Timeline. It's a little website that has like a timeline history of certain events happening during the making of the OT. And so I thought, what the hell am I going to use for Lucas Facts? I was like, I'm just going to go to my standard here and we'll get back to the movie. So early 1976, it is believed that somewhere in this time period, Lucas revives the story of Darth Vader falling into the volcano during the duel with Ben Kenobi as a way to of explaining his need for the suit, because it is told by Mark Hamill during filming. Now, we've seen so many changes going on with Vader and who he is. There were so many ideas. Even in the past, I shared that Vader was to be the father. That was an idea. Then George Lucas stepped away from that, and then he stepped back into it. So it's interesting how he changed his mind and returned back to it later on. So Mark Hamill says right here, quote, I remember very early on asking who my parents were and being told that my father and Obi-Wan met Vader on the edge of a volcano and they had a duel. My father and Darth Vader fell into the crater, and my father was instantly killed. Vader crawled out, horribly scarred, and at that point, the Emperor landed, and Obi-Wan ran into the forest, never to be seen again, quote unquote. And this is Luke Skywalker is alive and well by David Packer, Starlog, November 1980. So this is something that's very interesting. If you go and research the evolution of like even Darth Vader and who he was, at one point he was the father, then George, like I said, retracted it in the creation process and then returned back to that point for Empire Strikes Back. So there's this history here. So he changed his mind. He returned back to it. There's this push and pull here of the story being involved, but it was always a part of the story some way, somehow. And so this is just the evolution of who Vader is and who he, you know, and how he became scarred and destroyed by the lava, the lava pits, I guess you could say. And now looking at the PT, you could say that he still stuck to that initial plan, that initial idea. And we got to see what exactly happened on Mustafar between him and Obi-Wan Kenobi in the duel of fate, or not the fate, the duel of heroes. Yep. Making of Darth Vader. There you go. Thank you so much. All right. So this was very interesting to bring up, and it would be fun. I have a running list of all these crazy ideas to share about Star Wars, like behind the scenes and the movies and the EU and all this other fun stuff. To expand on how everything was played out, how these mythos were created, how George decided to go in one direction, but still kind of went with his plan with how he wanted the story to be told. And with Vader, it was always in his plan that he got severely messed up by falling into the lava some way, somehow. Now, Obi-Wan basically taken off his limbs during the last scene of the last confrontation of their duel is just something that was added. But it's very interesting to go through this and see the evolution and creation of Star Wars in George's mind. And just imagine being in that mind and like all these fucking ideas going on. Not fucking ideas, but you know what I mean. All these ideas going on in his head, and that creative process and figuring out which way does he want to take do he want to take these ideas and put it out for us in a mytho kind of way. And I think it's brilliant because the creative process, and I'm a creative, the creative process can go in so many different ways. Like when I was putting together my my Boba Fett painting, I needed to figure out, and in my head, I had so many different options of putting Slave One behind him or putting Camino, since that's his quote unquote home planet, even though, he does settle on to Concord Dawn, the planet of his clone parent, I guess you can say. And other scenarios, so there were so many different directions I could have gone with the Boba Fett one. And so that creative process and different angles I wanted him to stand, or different, different aspects of the background. So there's so many different creative opportunities that goes on the head, and you have to figure out, okay, so where am I going to land at? What do I want to tell? Where do I want to take the story? Where do I want to take this visual? And it's just freaking amazing just to see that creative process going on. So there you go, you guys. This is also on Twitter, so you can share it out with everybody, with the masses, about the early ideas of Vader. Just one of them. This is just one. Like I said, it's just one idea, but in the end, it all comes down to, Anakin being destroyed basically by lava, and and being saved and rescued by Palpatine. And there you have it, ladies and gents. So now let's get into the book of the week, because I'm so fucking excited about this. Yes, you got a hyper OG here. You got a hyper OG. I'm excited about this because it's a series, one of the series that I absolutely love. And I'll just leave it here. But let's hear from the man himself what he thinks about Mara Jade.
That's just a rumor that has kind of crawled up through fandom for years and years and years. I know that Tim met George Lucas. They had a sit-down conversation before the first book was done. I know that as with any of the novels, everything is cleared through Lucasfilm, and 100% for anything as major as a love interest being developed for Luke. That's a decision that George would have given a yes or no on.
I hate to say it, but it looks like the item you're searching for doesn't exist.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
If an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist.
And here you go. Stackpole was the hint. Hopefully you guys caught on to that. And so book 1 of the X-Wing series, it's not called the Rogue Squadron series. Book 1 of Star Wars X-Wing series, Rogue Squadron here. And of course, Michael A. Stackpole. And then Paul Yule. So like I said, if you know when I start prepping and you're on Twitter and you follow me on Twitter and I start prepping for CAF chat, when I'm prepping for book of the week, sometimes I'll lay out little hints. And if you could say, if you've seen me share about the cover artist, Paul Yule, and the comic cover artist as well, you would probably, those are little hints right there that I was looking at and preparing book of the week, and you could see the direction I was going. Doesn't mean that you might have gotten it right, but it could have been one of the comics as well. But yeah, we were going into the X-Wing series area. So of course, author again, Michael Stackpole, cover artist Paul Yule, and the paperback, it was only paperback, and it came out first published was in February 1996. And the placement's around about 6 ABY. So that's the placement there. And the X-Wing series was envisioned as Top Gun meets Star Wars. The first 4 in the series covered the conquering of the Coruscant by the New Republic. So did we have this? They felt, you know, they needed to get Coruscant to basically you know, get the seat, I guess you could say, of the galaxy. Coruscant is the seat of the galaxy where everything takes place. It is the governing planet, I guess you could say, and it is a planet that needed to be taken away from the Imperial remnant, right? Very great story. In fact, during my time when I was traveling to and from training and stuff like that, I left my New Jedi Order book home, and I was listening to X-Wing series on Audible. So I was doing that, and that's what inspired me for this as well. And an event established in the history but never elaborated. So the taking of conquering of Coruscant, or the liberating of Coruscant, it was hinted of and talked about in The Heir to the Empire, but it was never elaborated on. So what Zahn laid down, Michael Stackpole picked up and ran with it. We needed to see the liberation of Coruscant, the capital of the galaxy, basically, and how they reestablished their the new republic, because the old republic ran all the way to 19 BBY when Palpatine gained control, the Sith gained control and created the Empire. So we needed to see how the Rebel Alliance and the former New Republic gained the seat back in the capital world, right? And this is what this is about. So let's go on. The simulated battle at the beginning of the book is based upon mission from the PC game Star Wars X-Wing. So if you guys are familiar, you might see that. And then Jack Porkins is said to have crashed into the Death Star due to being unable to pull out of the dive. According to other sources, he was shot down by the station's turbolaser turrets. And then in the Age of Big, so that was one thing. So we have him losing control, but that control, you could say that losing control was basically being shot at. Let me see, where is it at? I'm like reading small letters. I need my glasses, you guys. I need to bring back my glasses. So the Age of Big's Dark Lighter given in the novel is also contradicted by other sources. 16-year-old Gavin Darklighter mentioned that his cousin was 8 years older than him, suggesting that Biggs was approximately 18 years old at the time of his death. However, in 1995, reference book The Essential Guide to Characters states that he graduates from the Imperial Navy Academy when he was 24. And that's the thing. So when you see Biggs as Luke's best friend, I guess you could say, you think that they're relatively the same age. So that's where it didn't make sense for me to have him older at 24 when he went in or when he graduated, because, Luke is 19. He would have been like, 4 or 5 years older than him. But you really see him they're relatively the same age. They seem relatively the same age. So that was kind of off for me. All right, let's see here. And where are we at? And I don't know if you guys agree with that, or if you thought that Biggs and Luke were the same age, because they basically grew up with each other. They grew up with each other. They were, piloting around like Baker's Canyon and racing with each other and had such a great relationship. Let's see where I'm at now. Okay, Captain Elor, I'm probably ruined that, but is said to have served under the Colonel Thrawn in the Navy. According to the Essential Guide to Warfare, the Army-like rank was suggested that Thrawn served in the Navy's flight, support, and engineering branch before his line duty service. So we have a little bit of back and forth here of like what happened with these characters according to the source books of what the novels are saying. So I guess you could say that all this with a grain of salt, like in a sense, and maybe place that Thrawn was in this area earlier, and then by time later on, he was in this other area here. Again, making his way up to Grand Admiral. So there you have it. Who has read the series? Who has read the series? What do you think about it? Let's see here. Yes, that's tonight. It's stupid how they renamed them. Let's see here. Do they also have beach volley game? Oh, I know what you're talking about, because they go to the beach and stuff like that. To Purist, to Scran, anti-Endor group. The Battle of Endor didn't happen. It's just rebel propaganda. Yeah, we were talking about that, right? So in the comics, there is a small group, and it's like these little small groups are interesting, but it's not a big deal that if it was never mentioned. But there was an Imperial planet that was in denial that the Empire was defeated at Endor. So if you guys are familiar with the comics, you probably know what I'm talking about. Biggs looked a lot older but that's probably because he's living under the Twin Suns. Yeah, he looks a lot older. I mean, kind of in a way. And then it could be genetics too. I started the series, but I didn't have had the chance to finish the first book and continue. Well, get on it. It's really good. And if you don't have the time, then listen to, the YouTube versions and the unabridged versions. Seeing it for us, OG Poppins. Just a spoonful of vinegar helps the triggering go down. The triggering go down. Just a spoonful of vinegar helps the shields get unhinged in the most delightful way. There we go. Clip it. Clip it. Oh, shit. That's amazing. I picked up first 4 of the X-Wings in the second-hand lot, but not read yet. Woo! Well, at least you're collecting. Keep on going. I'm so excited for you. The twin sun exposure is one hell of a drug, right? All right. So your book of the week, and because I'm introducing the first books of these series, I may go back and recommend the second of the series and the third. But there's so much, and it's not only about the novels; it's about the comics, about the source books, all of that. And so stay tuned. So it's going to be, book of the week. It's something I always look forward to because we not only talk about the book, what we love about them, but also continuity notes, even if the continuity is kind of off, right? Or how great it is. We want to share that there was synergy going on with it, and there was also little hiccups. Little hiccups doesn't mean that the EU was fucking bad, right? It just means that they were growing significantly with the lore, trying to keep track of it. That shit's going to happen. And then later on, it gets retconned or course corrected. And with a company, a franchise as big as Star Wars became, there were those little hiccups, especially in the beginning where, yeah, they were still paying attention to continuity, but it wasn't yet the full focus, if that makes sense, right? And then once the Lucasfilm seen how responsive the fans were to maintaining the history of Star Wars and keeping everything aligned in a historical event kind of way, that's where they started paying more attention, because at the time they valued their fans. They fucking value their fans. What an interesting concept. It made them money, right? Valuing the fans. And even George, even though he's not beholden to keep in line with everything else, he did, because it was about the fans, and because he brought in skilled, award-winning writers and had himself and his company work with them under the premise of what Star Wars is, the mythology, what he wanted, his vision, that it all fucking worked out beautifully. And Disney fucking tossed it. They tossed it, and now they look at how they are. There's no synergy. There's so many things that I see with every production and every book that comes out that I can go and tear up just alone their own lore compared to what's going on and how they are out of continuity with their own stuff. Let alone I can pick out what they are out of continuity with the movies. Yeah. So, but anyways, I can go on a tangent with that. We're not here for that. So in the meantime, if you need to go refresh your drinks, go ahead and do that. We are going to get into our lore talk right now. And then we all got to get into cringe factor as well. Cringe factor. Holy shit. So Mace Windu went to the dark side during Revenge of the Sith. Did you know that? Did you know that? All right. So refresh your drinks, grab a snack. If you have the new Jedi Order source book, grab that. And we are going to get into our lore talk. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and see what Mr. Filoni has to say about the EU.
And I've always leaned towards if we're going to create something, we should check and see if it existed already to the fans, because it has way more value if we bring that in. And It's like, why would I just replace it with something new? So if we're going to do an admiral, if we're going to do a big military leader, yeah, I could create a new guy, sure. But what about Thrawn? Thrawn is great. Thrawn is a character we all know. Thrawn has a lot of credibility. So then you ask yourself, is it right to use him? And can we use him in a way that's similar to the books? Or are we using him and it's going to go completely into left field. And there have been times when we wanted to use things from the EU, and I was like, yeah, but we can't use it that way, so why? I don't want to use it and change it. You know, I don't want to use it and make it something completely different. That's rude.
CAF. Lots of it. For me and for the Ready Room. I have a feeling this mission is not one we can fly in our sleep.
The amount of thought and effort that went into continuity far surpasses any other franchise or universe. Correct. You are spot on with this. And I want my little dude on the side. There we go. Or let's go ahead and do this. All right. So, see, can you hear me? I always get afraid that I'm being taken out whenever I move around in this new scenes platform thing here. And if retconning some Bane of the Sith get me the Darth Bane trilogy, so be it. Let's see here. Probably went to the dark side once he got thrown out of the Windu. Chrissy threw the way down. Oh my God. Let me go ahead and do this. That's a little bit better. That's a little bit better here. So here we are. We are slowly moving now towards the balance, or not balance point, towards edge of victory here. And I can't wait to get into that. There's so much to talk about just within that duology in itself. It is so interesting to see the events that happen and what happens on Yavin, what happens with Tahiri, what happens with Ben or Anakin and the birth of Ben, and the new Jedi Purge, and what's going on with that. And there's so much going on. It's if you have not read the new Jedi Order yet, or you haven't revisited it, pick the books up, you guys. Pick the books up, at least to follow along. And it doesn't matter if you start right now and read towards, because then you'll be getting a refresher. And I'm not trying to cover every single bit of detail going on. But if you start reading and we come back and talk about something else, you can say, hey, Laura, I caught this and I thought this was interesting. And you could share it in the chat and it'll still be part of the conversation. So there you go. All right. So with that being said, we have basically, we're still seeing the collapse of the core. The core hasn't been taken yet, but we're getting there. We are getting there, you guys. Holy crap, we are. Okay. And so here we are. So the usual stuff here. Like I said, I put the Vector Prime advance and Vong advance on top of what's going on right here. So you can see all the areas that have been taken over, or where campaigns and fights are going on and stuff like that. Thought that was interesting. I'm still going to keep it this way. And then we're still in the balance point timeline area of, and we're going to be next week, we'll be moving past that. But you can see all the planets that were taken by the Vong, either taken or destroyed, genocide, all of that. No holds barred when it comes to the Vong taking over in the galaxy, the invasion. The invasion. Let's see here. What's going on? Yeah, there's also the fact that they worked in parallel on many fronts, and if the events and details are not fully fleshed out, it can lead to inconsistencies. Correct. And people get the idea of parallel being like it's separate. It's not. When you look up the synonyms of parallel, it means together, coincide. There's so many different aspects of like that. And what's so funny is the stupid idiot that I was talking to on Twitter was trying to say parallel separate, right? And so I was like, no, it's not separate. And I shared the synonyms of what parallel means. I'm not sharing the definition of parallel, right? I'm sharing synonyms, so basically the same words. And he's like, that's not, he's like, that's not the definition. Like he was trying to say I said the definition. I'm like, no, dude, this is words that are similar, that if you're a writer and you didn't want to use the word parallel, what else would you use? You would look up the synonyms of that word. And and so I mean some of these fucking shills are anti-EU people are so stupid. I swear to God. It's mind numbing. It is so fucking mind numbing. All right. Anyways, let's get into this. So I do have the image of Leia. Basically, she nearly loses her life. Jason has to step up and finally use the Force because he is so conflicted with the use of the Force and his stance in the Force, where he should be with it, that he stops using it. But he has to step up to save his mom. And blood is like literally draining from her leg. Like she's like, it's like, you just have to read. It is fucking crazy. And then here is the Duro Gateway Dome. So if you've been like kind of following Andor 2 and the trailers and people talking about, oh, is this a refugee camp or whatever? And people talking about that, if you've seen the trailer, and they're like, well, where's the homes? Where's this? Where's that? And people questioning what's going on in the trailer. Not saying that little scene of them sitting around this outdoor table is a refugee camp. You never know. It could be. I don't know. But this is an example of how they structured refugee camps in the lore. This dome here, even if it wasn't a dome, when you follow the story, they create housing areas for every species so that species are at least comfortable while they are being gathered and in a safe place in refugee camps. So right here, this dome here has housing, has a main center, has, you know, the let me see here, has the medical dome, the research dome, the atmosphere waste treatment dome. So there's a lot of thought and plans going on through this, keeping the refugees somewhat, I guess you get familiar in their own type of space for their species and stuff like that as much as they can, and their species together. Leia worked her ass off during this time. She had it in her mind to make sure that everyone who's running from the Vong, these refugees, these survivors, had a place that feels kind of familiar to them in the states that they are in. And I think this is phenomenal writing between the artists on this and how much Leia cared about everybody in the galaxy. And in fact, during this time frame, like there was a I forgot the name of the bug or whatever that was. It wasn't Minox unless they thought it was Minox. I don't know. I don't remember. Star Wars Marvel Pierce, correct me if you know, or give me the name or whatever. But these little parasites were eating through the dome, which would have caused problems because the dome creates an atmosphere against Duros, which Duros planet is not inhabitable to a lot of species. So this is creating a little climated area. And they're wondering who brought in these parasites that were doing this. And because like Leia and some of her family members had came in during the time when this breakout happened, they decided to put themselves through shaving because they were like little worm type bugs, I guess you could say. I can't remember the name, I'm sorry. And so they decided to go through quarantine themselves in isolation, which means like even them and the wren who are like have feathered or fur type species had to be completely shaved to make sure they didn't have the parasites on them, to protect everybody else so that the dome doesn't get compromised. And so it was very important for Leia to make sure that it didn't seem like humans were being catered to among other species and stuff. And that her family, one of the well-known families because they destroyed the Empire, you know, and stuff like that, were being treated just the same without any special interests and stuff like that. So I thought that was really interesting. A great read, a great how Leia's perspective and stuff, and how her family, you know, how she made sure her family wasn't like had better treatment than anybody else. Great read. Let me see here. Let's see here. I used the cinnamons in my parallel universe debunk video. Cool. Yeah, I think I remember that. Are those from the Essential Atlas or a New Jedi Order source book? One is from the Essential Atlas. It's where Leia's lying down. And then the two other ones, the Duro's, the Duro Galactic Dome, and the image of the dome with Leia in front of it, those are from the source book. I read that one already. Let me see here. All right, so let's get at this. So let me see what I want to read first, what I want to go through first. Where is it at? I thought I had it on the right page, but I don't. Okay, Dalcor domes. So I just want to give you an idea about the dome since we're talking about that. All right. Notorious for their poor air recirculation and flimsy construction, the atmosphere domes provided by Salcor nonetheless serve as homes for the thousands of refugees fleeing the Yuuzhan Vong invasion. By the time of the Battle of Duro, every dome on the polluted planet is filled to the capacity. Just imagine that. Again, Leia's making sure, hey, Melissa Lord, what's up? A channel member in the chat. By the time, you know, Leia basically, by this time, but even before then, Leia was the one making sure that she helped rescue and help the refugees out during the invasion. And there are scenarios in other books where, bam, she's doing the rescue and the Vong invade the planet, and they're scattering again and again and again. It's crazy chaos. Crazy chaos. Each dome includes at least one airlock-style entrance, plumbing and sanitary facilities, and rudimentary communications and entertainment systems. The primary settlement on Duro, Gateway, houses not only the main research laboratories for making Duro atmosphere once again breathable, but also the administration center for all the Salcor facilities. This facility is ran by Leia Organa Solo. There we go. Cinnamon, get OG 1 million subs, and she'll show us how to make cinnamon toast Ewoks. Cinnamon. I'm probably saying it wrong. Cinnamon and cinnamon. Blah blah blah. You guys know what I mean. All right. So during this time, and I'm just going to add this because it's interesting. Like I said, I'm not trying to cover the book, but I just wanted to give information more about where Han is at during this time, in case everybody lost track. So, unknown to Leia, her husband Han and her son Jason are also on Duro, and quite nearby at settlement 32. So there's different settlements. Leia's in charge of the Gateway Dome, and there's other little dome settlements here and there because each dome may house a certain species or certain species that are similar or not, but they are at capacity. Let's see here. One of the other Salcor domes, ironically, while the domes share various resources, they frequently clash over allocations without even realizing with whom they are clashing. Han and Jason, and when she arrives, Jaina likewise have no idea that Leia's close by until settlement 32 is overrun by small moth-like creatures. There we go. There they are. That begin eating the material of the dome and force the residents of settlement 32 to relocate to Gateway settlement. So they relocate to Leia's, and this is where they discover, oh, Mom's covering this dome. She's in charge of all of this. She's in the main, I guess you could say she's in the capital of the domes, I guess you could say, if you want to put it that way. Gateway settlement includes a large number of barracks-style living quarters, as well as multiple buildings for research and administrations, and even a garden part food supply part experiment. So there you go. There you go. So we have that information here. It's very interesting, and I'm kind of curious to see if what Andor 2 shared in that second trailer is a refugee settlement, and where are the homes for it, and what's going on, and why are these guys refugees in a sense. So it's very interesting. I want to see what happens with that in a sense, to compare and contrast it to what we're reading here. Seems Leia inherited her mother's need to help others. Correct. I forgot how good this book was. I honestly haven't encountered a bad book yet on the reread. I think it is the Force Heretic trilogy I remember not liking much. Yeah, I think a lot of people, I hear a lot of people talk about the Force Heretic and not cared for it that much. I think that's maybe the least popular parts, but I could be wrong about that. Sometimes when you reread something, you find new things that you're like, you never picked up the first time. You're like, shit, it's better than I thought. Or sometimes, damn, it's worse than I thought. Shocker, considering Sean Williams wrote Fatal Alliance. I know, right? Oh, damn. I know. So the Battle of Duro. There's so much going on here. There's a scene in here where Luke and Mara Jade arrive. It's like, oh, bam, the whole family is reunited. It's crazy. At one point, when Leia realizes Han is there, and they start coming back together. They realize Han's like, I needed to do this, and she understood, and they had exchanged words in the past that they feel a little ashamed about, but their love is still there, and their compassion for each other, that it doesn't even matter, right? And then you have Leia, then you have Jaina there, and she basically is still recovering from the blindness that she received from the temporary blindness she received from when a ship was destroyed and she was caught in its I forgot the name, how they worded it, but the explosion was so blinding, it blinded her temporarily, right? Sorry. I have to go, I have to go back to that page and tell you exactly what happened. You can also say it in the chat. So she's recovering from that. And so she's got this temporary blindness and stuff, and she's using her force senses to help her get around and stuff, which is an added plus. So the family's reuniting, and the Battle of Duro is happening basically, but before it fully begins, Mara and Jaina were talking about, have you, was inquiring about, has Leia ever met the scientist in charge of reestablishing the environment and correcting the environment there so it's breathable and adaptable for other species and stuff because of the pollution and everything that's happened there. And, and the scientist has never met with anybody, is secretive, works in the background, and that rings alarm bells for Mara, and they already know now how to sense Vong, and they're basically a void in the Force. And so Mara's like, Jaina, come with me. Let's go check out the scientist. Let's see who this person really is, right? And they find out who it is. And in their back and forth, Jaina and Mara flee, and everything collapses around them. So they're using this force bubble to sustain them and stuff. It's very interesting how that's all played out, and how it's like, even if you can use a force bubble or force shield, I guess you could say, a force bubble to sustain you, doesn't mean that you can hold it very long. And at this time, she's pregnant and stuff. But anyways, you have to read it. I'm not trying to, go over the book itself. I'm just sharing some interesting points going on in here. Hi, Grumpy Old Ninja. How are you doing? All right, so let's get to the Battle of Duro, and then we'll get into the rescue of Leia. And then we're going to get into a little bit of Jason during this time, because, again, we know Jason stopped using the Force. And he has a negative connotation about the Force, basically, right now. But he has to step up into his true self, I guess you could say. And for the sake of his mom's life. For the sake of his mom's life. As you can see in the image there. All right. The Battle of Duro. While the New Republic feels certain the Yuuzhan Vong have no interest in such a desolate planet as Duro, nothing could be farther from the truth. The Yuuzhan Vong religious leaders view Duro as a rich source of slaves and sacrificial victims. That's the thing. The planet doesn't have to be a place of resource for them. It could be a resource of slaves and sacrificial victims, right? Doesn't have to be necessarily the planet itself, but its inhabitants. And that's the crazy thing. That is the fucking crazy thing. Is like, they don't care. If the planet is not of use, they'll still find use from it. If that makes sense. Jason needs to man up. Ever since Danny Queef friend zoned his ass, he's been acting like a bitch. Yeah. Oh my God, that's another thing. That is another thing. And oh my God. And so many people, like anti-legacy era people, and I've talked to them. I know I'm going off track a little bit here. We're going to be here for a little longer than I want to, or like I usually schedule. I don't mind. We could be here for 3 hours, but I try to keep CAF chat within 2 hours. It's not happening today. But people who are anti-legacy era and hate the way, or don't like how Jason went to the dark side as a Sith, we're saying, oh, they really got his character so bad and wrong. They miswritten him, blah, 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 blah. Well, look what's going on right here. I'm not saying that these writers are bad writers and miswrote Jason, but look how he's acting right here. So they're trying to say he's out of character in Legacy, but then again, I would say he's out of character to himself here, because it needs to be that way. Because they're showing how conflicted he is in the Force, right? And he's acting accordingly. And a lot of this sets up how he is for Legacy era. Duro is a hellhole. I agree. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Hello, Jordan. How are you doing? Sometimes there is just a lot to cover, OG, and the anti people do not have at all ever, right? They don't. Okay, let's see where I was at here. Furthermore, the expert agitator Nomenor, Nomenor is up to his usual tricks, playing the Duros and the Rin against one another. At the same time, he sows seeds of discontent among the Duros population regarding South Court efforts. So he's the one working behind the scenes, and that's who Mara and Jaina uncovers. Soon, renegade Duros begin seizing South Court aid shipments entering the system, leading to panic and desperation in the domes. Anti-Jedi sentiment is whipped to a fever pitch. And once we get into to the next portion of Edge of Victory, we'll see a lot of that, which is what is quote unquote called the new Jedi Purge, in a sense. And we'll go through that during that time and talk more about that. But we're seeing all of this heighten and all this confusion and all of this chaos going on, and it's supposed to be that way, right? This is where he sees the vision of him not catching the lightsaber in balance point, right? And I wanted to, because I have the Audible on my phone, And I was thinking of recording that clip and putting it on here. And it's almost like, and they say, was it Anakin that was talking to him during that time? Was it really confirmed it was Anakin? But anyways, or his grandfather. But I thought about using that clip here as we start talking about the rescue of Leia. Just to give an idea of the Force saying, bitch, straighten up your ass. The galaxy needs you, right? That's how I seen that. Okay. Let's go here. Let's see where I'm at here. When the word spreads in the orbital Duros cities that Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa, and their Jedi and other Jedi are in the star system, the Yuuzhan Vong agitators orchestrate riots. It was Anakin, the grandfather. I don't know why I was like not sure, but yeah. So very interesting. As panic and riots break out in orbit, in the domes and on the surface, the meager New Republic and local defense forces are overtaxed in their attempts to contain the riots. A small Yuuzhan Vong attack force arrives, confronting the Duros with cruisers, transport carriers, and a handful of gunships. The Yuuzhan Vong commander promises the Duros leader that they will leave the orbital cities in peace. They want only the planet and the refugees. The Duros make no attempt to defend the planet, letting the alien invaders pass by the orbital cities without incident. It's crazy how, like the Vong are like, oh, we just want to do this. And then the species are like, okay. And then don't realize that they're going to be part of the plan. And that's slaves and sacrificial people. Right? After a brief battle in which the poorly armed refugees fight vigilantly, lizard-mounted Yuuzhan Vong warriors take control of the largest domes. They swiftly round up prisoners for conversions or sacrifice, immediately sacrificing all the scientists who were working on cleansing the atmosphere. This ploy allows Nomenor, who was hiding among the scientists, to use the Uglith masker and pretend to be Duros. And again, that's where I go back to where Jaina and Mara's like, who is the scientist and why hasn't Leia seen him? Why is he hiding? Why hasn't he revealed himself? I have suspicious, and this all goes back to her and Anakin Solo's discovery of our mission on Coruscant earlier in the novel. And she's like, we could tell if this person is Vong or not. Let's go check this out, Jaina. And sure enough, they discover who he is. He's like, Mara, you don't remember me. I'm the one who gave you this cone spores virus or whatever. And so they discover who he is, and this is where all shit breaks loose, right? Let's see here. The Duros act like the pussy EU fans that want to get along with the Disney shills and live in harmony with bastardized Star Wars. Boom. Mic drop right there. Oh no, but I'm not being nice. Fuck it all. The Vong are like space Aztecs. Well, if you listen to HoloNet's document of the New Jedi Order, they talk about what human races inspired these species in a sense. The battle lines have been drawn. Choose your fate. Become one of the shields and be destroyed, or embrace the Gatekeepers Alliance and preserve the EU and George Lucas Star Wars. Duros are like the Peace Brigade. Okay, Liquid Snake had to come from somewhere. Honestly, I tend to enjoy well-written, never stay dead villains like Gnome, or like, are you saying like Gnome and Liquid? Is that what you're saying? I'm sorry. They use multiple Mesoamerican cultures to create the Vong, correct? And they also go into some Asian areas too. But yeah, it's very interesting. Like I said, I have allergies and I feel like I need to do, like, my throat is dry right now and it feels like I need a cough. Ugh, I hate that. I hate that. All right, so that's the Battle of Duro. Very important as we go forward here. Just gives us, and I never really highlighted much about refugees, the state of refugees, and Leia, because she's the one that is foreseeing all of this. It's crazy how she's like, even she tells Han earlier that she has to make sure everybody's okay. She has to make sure that these refugees have a place to go to. And she feels very responsible for that. And Han, during this time, he's still, very much in confusion, state of grief and stuff. And he's like, that's my Leia, kind of deal. And, so we have to see, in general, at least cover it once, the state of the refugees and what's going on. And I thought this would be perfect for that. The fall of Duro to the Yuuzhan Vong. Whoops, there we go. I do too, because drinking water never helps that. OG Star Wars. I don't understand it. And I got these allergies. I don't know. So one thing, and this is kind of off topic, but it goes to like my dry sinuses and stuff, is during training Saturday night, me and a few of the trainees went down to the hot tub because our bodies were so tired from movement and sitting and all this other stuff. We're like, let's get to the hot tub. Let's let our bodies soak in this hot, nice, yummy water, I guess you could say. But I think the chlorine level was so, like, a little bit too high, and it burned my eyes and my sinuses in a sense, and I'm recovering from it right now. I'm calling it allergies, but I don't think it's allergies. I think it's from the hot tub. Let's see here. Don't drink water. Drink hot chocolate like Luke Skywalker. Yes, or some CAF. Or some CAF like this.
CAF. Lots of it. For me and for the ready room. I have a feeling this mission is not one we can fly in our sleep.
At 52 beautiful souls listening either here on YouTube or on Twitter, thank you so much. Smash that like button. Let people know we're live, because we're not done here yet. We're not done yet. Okay, so let's get to the rescue of Leia Organa Solo. She is very pivotal. She is an amazing character when it comes to a lot of her EU arcs. I mean, in the beginning on the OT, yes, she is, but we see her evolve from this fiercely independent woman to someone who softens into the role of trusting and loving other people. And I think it's a great arc. And if you want to know more about her heroine journey, then the Star Wars Magic of Myth goes through that so well. So I highly recommend that book. Not book of the week, but I do recommend that. Maybe one book of the week, 1 week, it'll be book of the week. But that's amazing. Read about her hero's journey in itself. Let's see here. Let our bodies soak in this hot, nice, yummy water. OG quote of the day. Oh, that's funny. I knew you would come up with this. I love entertaining you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and talking Star Wars. The real fucking Star Wars. The real Star Wars. All right. The rescue of Leia Organa Solo. She's not necessarily a Jedi yet. And the Darkness trilogy, it's not in the Legacy era. It's still part of the New Jedi Order era. So it's the last bit of push within this era. And there's a time gap between the last of the New Jedi Order book and the first of the Darkness trilogy book, where I was so excited to see if they were going to go ahead and write about Jacen Solo's sabbatical on discovering the Force and different Force societies and how it's used by different species or different Force societies and all, and learning more about himself. But because of the buyout, we'll never see that. But that would have been great, because once you get into Legacy era, we know that shit happened, especially the fate of the Jedi. We know shit happened to him during his sabbatical that really changes his perspective in more of a dark way. more of a dark way. And once Luke and Ben, and Fate of the Jedi series is good, but not as great as Legacy of the Force era or series. And I like the fact that Luke and Ben, because of Luke's exile during the time, that they explore and they retrace Jason's steps, and we get to see in a glimpse of what Jason went through. That would have been great to have a series that would reflect that journey of Luke and them, of rediscovery of what Jason happened to Jason, because they even say in Darkness trilogy that Jason, I think even in Legacy or Fate of the Jedi, that Jason never fully reported on everything that he went through. So it's kind of like rediscovering what happened to Jason. Why did he fall to the dark side? Not only because of his being a captive of the Vong and becoming a slave and stuff like that, but also his sabbatical journey. There's so much there that could have been done that I wish was done. Legacy of the Force and Legacy has confusing names. No, they don't. Legacy is Legacy era. Legacy of the Force is the first series. Then Fate of the Jedi is the following after that. And then you have a few books that are part of the series, but not are part of Legacy era, but not part of the series, but just part of the historical timeline. And then you have years and years, this huge time gap that goes into the Legacy comics. So not necessarily, that's how I see that. It's not confusing to me. All right. As the coordinator of Cell Corps efforts on Duro, Leia Organa can hardly abandon the refugees in their domes when the Yuuzhan Vong landing craft begins dropping down out of the sky with Jaina, Jason, and her most recent faithful Nogri bodyguard, Almac. At her side, Leia returns to the administration building in Duro's gateway settlement. Yuuzhan Vong warriors capture the former princess, pummeling her into unconsciousness. You got to read it, you guys. You got to read it. She awakes as a prisoner of the Yuuzhan Vong, specifically of their War Master Savan La. Dun, dun, dun. Who knows about Savan La? He's a very interesting character. Very interesting character. Nomenor is too, but Savan La, yeah. He makes the Yuuzhan Vong position clear. They do not want to negotiate. They do not want to coexist. They do not want to discuss ideologies. And her conversation with him during that time in the book is so interesting. Very, very interesting. Again, we're not going to go over the book, but I'm just giving you guys a little bit of insight. Go read. Go read. Lady Vader always rolling with her Nogri posse. Correct. Lady Vader. Yep. Correct. So he's very interesting. Now, where was I? The Yuuzhan Vong simply want Leia and every other infidel to either submit to their domination or die with some modicum of honor, courage, or at the very least dignity. So they're like, no holds barred. You either conflate, come into ours and exist as we do, be our slave or whatever, or die. We'll sacrifice you. We don't want peace. We don't want to coexist. Nothing like that. Nothing. And it's interesting. This will be brought up later on, but I'm going to say it now. They don't have a word for peace. They don't have a word for peace. Oh God, you guys, I'm so happy to be here just talking Star Wars with you. I missed you guys. To demonstrate how Leia should face death, the Yuuzhan Vong let her watch as they sacrifice a number of captured refugees, burning them alive in a pit dug near the administration building. That's fucking brutal, right? Again, you have to read. Holy shit, you have to read. But that's brutal. Again, Leia watches scores of innocents die, and the horror dives through her heart and hurts her more than 1,000 MP staffs ever could. You know, she's force sensitive too. She is the daughter of the chosen one. She's sensing and feeling and seeing this all together. Just imagine how crushing that is, especially for her passion for everyone in the galaxy, trying to get them away from the bomb, trying to save them. And right now, she can't do shit. She can't do anything. And it's probably gut-wrenching to her, both physically and in the Force. I have to admit, the idea of race that uses biological weapons felt off at first, but it's genuinely one of the coolest races in Star Wars. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of what a lot of people were like, this is off-putting. But if you read more and more, it all makes sense to their culture, who they are, what they expect, and they're wanting dominance. And as we go towards the end of the series, you'll find out more and more and more. It's very, very cool. In the meantime, Leia's children refuse to leave her behind and search for her through the occupied streets of the refugee dome. They locate her with relative ease and converge to rescue her, but they are too late to prevent the Yuuzhan Vong from murdering Rhonda and giving Leia a merciless beating with their empty staffs. Man, just imagine your kids coming and seeing that you are beat almost to death with the empty staffs. You know, fucking crazy. That must, I mean, if they don't turn dark now, one of them's got to turn dark later. Jason. Okay. Jason Solo is the first to hear Leia's screams. He rushes into the office where Leia lies broken and bloody, but still alive, and boldly orders the hideous warriors to release her. Little does Jason realize that he faces none other than Saban Ma, the Yuuzhan Vong War Master. I know, there's all kinds of spoilers. I know, but hopefully I'm not giving, like, you have to read it. There's a lot more to what is just being said here. You know, so yes, this is a spoiler in a sense, but you just have to read to get the full range of ideas and what's going on during the time. Driven by the need to save his mother, Jason realizes he must embrace the Force because he wasn't in the past. He was questioning it. He was going against it. He stopped using it. And that really made him a shell of a man because he is a Force sensitive. That is who he is. And he was denying himself even that. Okay. Or he will never forgive himself. Like a breaching down, Jason feels the Force all around him, feels himself standing on the brink of a decision he had been trying to make since the invasion began. Jason unleashes the full raw power of the Force against the Yuuzhan Vong. And then we go back to that vision he's seen earlier, and it plays out in this scenario. And again, now I wish I would have recorded and shared with you guys here from the Audible about that vision. The Force creates a whirlwind through the young Jedi with Jason and Leia at its center. In the space of a few seconds, the Yuuzhan Vong warriors are knocked senseless or killed by flying debris. Saban Long himself is hurtled out the window. That was funnier than hell. and after being struck with Leia's heavy desk, in another moment, Jaina arrives and the two children carry their semi-conscious mother to safety. So basically, Jason opens himself extremely to the Force and uses the Force as a whirlwind tornado and takes everything down. Saban Long goes flying out the window. It's kind of, that part was kind of funny. I giggled at that when he goes out the window and stuff. But anyways, but when everything is said and done, and they're carrying their mom to safety, and they get her into the Falcon, yes, because Han isn't there. He rescues them and stuff like that, and they're strapping her down to the med bed that's there and stuff. I believe it was the Falcon, or unless the Falcon was flying with them, I apologize. She's bleeding out. She's bleeding to death. And it takes Leia some time to recover. So we'll end here with this last bit as Jacen, the reluctant Jedi, and then we'll go into cringe factor. Jacen Solo's struggle to understand the Force leads to a long bout of contemplation and observation that all but cripples him as a Jedi Knight. Even though he feels the Force flowing very strongly through him, he believes that simply letting it carry him along denies his own potential. He refuses to let fate decide his future. To Jacen, so basically, he goes against the Force. He goes against the Force. To Jacen, giving into the light side is convincingly just as bad as giving into the dark. Without understanding how the Force controls his destiny, any step he takes might do irrevocable harm. That no one else understands his dilemma is especially vexing. Jacen's brother Anakin has long argued with him that if one is strong in the Force, one has a responsibility to use it however and whenever necessary. His sister Jaina thinks he is a coward hiding from the challenges facing the rest of the galaxy while he decides whether he truly wants to be a Jedi Knight. Even his own mother, although she plainly loves him, looks at him as though he were simple-minded. When Jacen sees his mother suffering, he realizes that all of his visions and dreams of the future have given him the clues to make a decision. If he does not act, his mother will die at the hands of the Yuuzhan Vong. To prevent that, he needs to use the Force more than he ever has before. So there you go. So Jacen has this little pivotal turning point here, realizing that he does need to use the Force to help with the invasion of the galaxy, help save people. And the Force shares with him that example through his mom. And I think that was a beautiful plan because, even Luke was like, you need to use the Force to help save the galaxy. Even Leia, even his brother. And the Force, sometimes they give you the message. It gives you the message in such a strong, powerful way. So there we go. A lot going on. I can't wait till next week we get into into our next one. And that was in the Edge of Victory coming up. We'll start again with the State of the New Republic and all that. Just getting our feet wet in there and go from there. Oh shit, my foot's falling asleep. Let's see here. Let me put this back up. Here we go. The character arc and setup for all the Solo kids is done so well through the new Jedi Order. Correct. And we can't wait till we get to Jaina's too. And then also Anakin. Oh my God. That right there is going to be a tearjerker or heartstring puller or whatever, however you want to say it. It's going to be so sad. Holy shit. But we're working our way towards that. So now's your chance to go ahead and get another refill or whatever, or get yourself more comfortable. Stretchy time, OG. Yes, stretchy. And we're getting into our cringe factor now. So let's go ahead and check out this one.
Prepare yourself for Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. The evil Empire has struck back with a vengeance, and a new villain, the crime lord Shizor, schemes to replace Darth Vader as the Emperor's second-in-command. With Han Solo held frozen in carbonite by bounty hunter Boba Fett, it's the rebellion's darkest hour. Now, join Jedi warrior Luke Skywalker, hard-charging Chewbacca, and go undercover with heroic pilot Dash Rendar and his booming Outrider. But can Han Solo be freed and Shizor be stopped? Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. Look for the authentic figures and vehicles from Kenner.
So uncivilized.
And here we go. So uncivilized. Now let's see what's going on with this here. So, let's see what you guys have to say with this and what I have to say with this. But let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Refilling my CAF. Pretty good. We're not starting just yet. I need to make a checklist of all the ebooks I'm missing. Got to keep looking where I can. Yes, build that library. Start getting the source books because pretty soon they're going to be up in price, and it's going to be hard to get as well. Screen Rant. Yes, Screen Rant is one of the official contributors to Cringe Factor. That's why it's used. That's why it's used. Oh dear. Revenge of the Screen Rant. Right? I know. So, all right. First off, before we fully get started, refill your CAF.
CAF. Lots of it. For me and for the ready room. I have a feeling this mission is not one we can fly in our sleep.
Oh, I love that so much. I love that. I was like, I need to use that as a clip. It fits perfectly here. Especially before Cringe Factor. I'm convinced, and this is by Liz Declan, and she's one that we visited before. I am convinced one moment in Revenge of the Sith reveals Mace Windu really had fallen to the dark side. Now, you guys, where do you think that is? Where do you think that Mace has fallen to the dark side? Where do you think that she thinks that he fell into the dark side? And did he fall to the dark side during Revenge of the Sith? What say you? All right. According to this people, whenever someone has a moment of anger or frustration, they turn to the dark side. Correct. That is hilarious. I agree. When he was about to kill Palpatine, stay tuned. So, yeah, Star Wars Marvel purists, check this out. So there you go, Star Wars Marvel purists. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close the curtain because I have a window behind me and it's blaring on the screen right now. There we go. That's a lot better. One line in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, has me fairly convinced that Mace Windu may have fallen to the dark side, and we all missed it. So this is Liz Declan. I'm not saying this personally myself. From Screen Rant. Mace Windu is one of the most fascinating Jedi, and he arguably hasn't gotten the attention he deserved. He did get a lot of attention in the EU. What are you talking about? Throughout the and he has his own book, Shatterpoint. Wow. And you know, our buddy Scran is gonna be reviewing it, or he is reviewing it every Monday on his channel. Stay tuned for that. Go check it out. He reads a chapter, so you can go and read along or talk in the chat, and he has conversation before he begins the chapter. So go check it out. Mace Windu comes across as an incredibly respected Jedi among the other council members, although it was also clear that he was one of the harshest towards Anakin. Oh no, it's one of these things. Oh, he's so harsh towards Anakin. Poor Anakin. No, he's just one of those people. I mean, I wouldn't. Do you think Mace is harsh? Do you think he was harsh against Anakin, or would you think he was being truthful to how Anakin's acting and how he responded to him? Well, Vapad draws the user inner darkness, and most of the users, aside from Windu, fell to the dark side because of it. But Windu knew how to control it. He knew how to go to that edge and stay in the light still. And it's not going gray. He knows how to stay in the light and still go to that edge. I don't know what's with the sudden craze Windu's going dark. It's everywhere and it's annoying. I haven't noticed much, but yeah, I do see it like comes up again and it trends and then it stops. I'm starting to think Filoni hates Windu. You think so? You like when TCW, how he had that going, you would think. Bunch of weak writers nowadays. So harsh. Okay, let's get into this. Okay, the difficult relationship continued through the Revenge of the Sith, which ultimately ended with one of the most important moments in Anakin Skywalker's life, I guess you could say. His confrontation with Mace Windu in Palpatine's office. Mace went over there to arrest. Anakin went over there to save Palpatine. So if you could say that's a confrontation, maybe so. But not for what you're thinking it is, I guess. This lady is. It was in the scene that Anakin ultimately chose Palpatine over the Jedi, sealing his fate of the galaxy and the Republic. before he was sent flying out the window. Windu. Out for that. Mace Windu delivered one shocking, easy to miss line in Revenge of the Sith that has me really, and this is again this Decon lady, questioning whether he had fallen to the dark side. Mace Windu's logic echoes Palpatine's own with Dooku. So they're saying, and we're getting to it, Windu. Let's say that 5 times. Window. Sorry, I ran with it. I'm being such a fucking nerd, and yeah. Well, it may seem important that a Jedi well-respected and powerful as Mace Windu could have fallen to the dark side. One jarring line in Revenge of the Sith suggests that at least Mace has blurred the lines between the light and the dark when Mace was attempting to convince Anakin to kill Palpatine was the only solution. He told Anakin he's too dangerous to keep alive. Well, you're forgetting that he also says he's got control of the Senate. And you're also missing the point that Jedi and Sith has always fought each other. There's always been this history between the Sith, and the Jedi thought that they defeated the Sith, and the Sith no longer existed for 1,000 years. So we're going on a history of Jedi versus Sith. And yes, Jedi defeat Sith. So does that make them dark? No. Does this decision make him dark? No. You are forgetting the reason why he says he's too dangerous to be kept alive, because he has control of the Senate. All right, let's move on. This logic from Mace Windu echoed the exact same language Palpatine had used earlier in the Revenge of the Sith, about Count Dooku. Anakin was distressed about having killed Dooku. So you're missing another point, Miss Declan. Mace is not being manipulated and not on the edge of the dark side during this time. He's coming in and still, I guess you could say, within the light side, within the Jedi. He doesn't have this Sith whispering in his ear that is corrupting him, but Anakin did. During this time with Count Dooku, Anakin already had Palpatine whisper in his ear, manipulate him towards the dark side, all of this. This is just another opportunity for him to manipulate. He already planted the seed of darkness. And right here, he's testing that. If that seed can fruition, right? That's all part of the manipulation. Is that seed planted? He earlier planted. Can he convince him? And this is an example of him. Yes, he is ripe for the picking. He is convincing him here. And that's when he does it and tells Anakin to kill him. He's too, and he's too dangerous to be kept alive. That is where that manipulation, that seed of manipulation has been planted and is flourishing. So 2 different scenarios, 2 different instances. Yes, same thing, different instances. Mace doesn't have anybody manipulate him to the dark side, whereas in this point, Anakin does. So the logic from Mace echoed the exact same language Palpatine had used earlier in Revenge of the Sith about Count. And yeah, and then Anakin's like, it's not the Jedi way, blah, 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 because he still has a little bit of that there. But then Anakin's not seeing clearly at all. Anakin is basically, I guess you could say, like I said earlier, being manipulated, and he's using the term, it's not the Jedi way, because he doesn't want Palpatine to be killed. It's not because it's the Jedi way to not do that. He wants Anakin alive so he can use him. See the difference here? All this manipulation. The seeds were planted, and now they are beginning to sprout, I guess you would say. Now, knowing Palpatine was one of the Star Wars' most powerful Sith, making it rather difficult to blame Mace at the moment. However, this was not the first time Mace Windu had argued that someone needed to be killed because of a threat they posed. In the oh no, we're not going with Dark Disciple. We're not going with that. So that's not real Star Wars, does not belong in this conversation. We are talking about the movies in general. This raises question about the constituents or what constitutes the dark side and falling to the dark side. Although when approached without bias in favor of Mace Windu, it's not a good look that on multiple occasions he was argued in favor of killing the Jedi's adversaries. Yes, sometimes like it's not. How can I word this? I want to see what you guys are saying in the chat before, because I have my thought there. Dark Disciple by Christy Golden was a terrible book. I haven't read, but I heard about it. Anakin did it for all the nookie, right? Another moron and screaming at who doesn't understand Star Wars, correct. I think they said Mace saw the world in black and white, no place for evil or any kind to him. That scene was to turn Anakin, not Windu, correct. All right, so let's go back to this page here. So what I'm getting at is and this has been said and stated, like even with Luke Skywalker's training in the OT, that you do have to train to get rid of the Sith, right? But because you're trained to fight against your adversaries, right? Your enemy, the Sith, for trying to stop them from taking over the galaxy or stop them from ruling the galaxy, you have to fight to destroy, to kill. In Luke's case, he did redeem, but he could never redeem Palpatine, right? He could redeem his father. There's history behind that. But Jedi do train to defeat their adversaries. And Mace was right when he said he is, that they couldn't keep him alive because he had control of the Senate and all that. That you must go ahead and defeat him. Doesn't mean that they're going to go to the dark side. No. Because they are defending the galaxy from this darkness. And that's a difference. And I think people forget about that. That Jedi are not these monks that just go and meditate and are very passive. They're not. They train to defend and defeat any threats if they cannot do it any other way. And they're at the point right here, right now, where they couldn't go any other way. Anakin is manipulated already to the point that the seeds that were sowed already are sprouting. Yeah, I'm using that analogy. Palpatine knows it. Mace knows it. He senses it. So people who say, oh, Mace was harsh. No, he was sensing. He couldn't put his finger on because, yeah, the dark side's clouding everybody. But he was sensing that there was turmoil in Anakin. There's things going on that couldn't quite be trusted in a sense. But he couldn't put his finger on why this is going on with Anakin. And he learns it here upon his death. Not that hard to put 2 and 2 together, right? Not that hard. No, Mace is not this asshole, harsh guy towards Anakin. He just knows that there's some shit going on that they need to keep an eye on Anakin because they're sensing something they couldn't quite put their finger on. He's actually smarter than people think. He's actually a lot wiser than people think. Jedi are there to protect and defend against the dark side. A lot of time that means killing, but like Anakin, where redemption shines even a small ember, they will try to save Sith. Let's see here. Mace is like a strict teacher. Yep. Let's see here. What else are you guys saying in here? The Sith are too powerful for their own good. Trying to maintain balance in the Force. Mace Windu is right. Politicians are the ultimate evil. Kill them all. Revenge of the Sith novelization is incredible. I agree. In fact, me and Tim, United Spacers Alliance, we did a EU University about the book, so go check that out. Fact, the only Sith deal in absolutes. Let me see. Windu clearly trusted Anakin in a deleted scene in Attack of the Clone. The trust eroded during the course of the war. He sensed Anakin's slow progression to the dark side. And that's the thing I was getting to. Is like deleted scenes don't really count unless they're in the books. However, Mace was sensing stuff but couldn't put his finger on there. And so that's where he was strict. We need to keep an eye on him. We need to do this. We need to do that, because he knew something was going on, couldn't quite put the finger on it. You know, they were clouded by the dark side. All the things were happening during the time. All the things. So Anakin did it for them naboobies. Them naboobies. They were sensing Palpatine but couldn't figure it out because Palpatine's fog of war is at 100% of its power. I guess that's a good way to put it. Fog of the war, or in clarity because of the war, in clarity because of the dark side, all of that. There's a lot of factors going on during that time. So let's see here. Do I want to read the rest of this? Is also indicative of a large issue that had emerged within the Jedi at the time. The Jedi, of course, did not deserve Order 66, nor were they the bad guys. Yet it's clear that at some point they had abandoned their core values. Oh, fuck, here we go. So this is all about the revisionist history that Declan is talking about. This is all about Disney Star Wars and what they're doing to make people see the Jedi and the movies in a different way compared to what George was setting up. There's a lot of core values that they still had intact that Mace was adhering to right here at this moment. There were some values, and I wouldn't even call them values. It was more dogmatic about how they handled attachments and stuff, which really didn't have anything to do with this scene per se. The attachment part had a lot to do with Anakin's fall, but this scene per se, in a way, and I guess you could say maybe because he saved Palpatine because he needed Palpatine's wisdom to save Padme. Okay. So I guess I just went ahead and said, yeah, it pertained to that. All right. After all, the Jedi had gone from peacekeepers to soldiers. Oh my fucking God. Here we go. Yes, they were peacekeepers, but you have to step up as warriors to protect if the negotiations and everything, everything they tried beforehand did not help at all. Who were fighting alongside political lines. This is precisely why so many Jedi ultimately became disillusioned with the new order, with the Jedi Order, and turned to the dark side. A lot of, oh, here we go, the Barris Offee bullshit. A lot of the Jedi did not turn to the dark side during that time. There were some, but not a lot. And she's going to reference Barris Offee here. From Barris Offee to Anakin Skywalker. Those two are not comparable whatsoever. It's particularly alarming in Mace's case. In fact, Barris Offee's turn or whatever happened to her was completely bullshit. I do not agree with that decision for TCW at all. Using Barris like that is like, it was such a deconstruction of character and of the time frame during that time when it came to Barris Offee. So in Mace's case, as he was the master of the order, if he had fallen, then so too had the Jedi Order. Not necessarily. You could still have a master fall, but still the order stay intact because you still have other people responsible for it. He's not the only one responsible for the order. While Mace certainly wasn't a full-fledged Sith Lord, in Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, moments suggest he briefly did tap into the dark side. So she's saying that word is that he tapped in the dark side during that time. Yet, during that time, he was, in his mind and in everything that was going on, he was saving the galaxy from the Empire's grasp, from the Sith grasp. So how is that him falling to the dark side? If he fell to the dark side, then he would have been on Palpatine's side. He wouldn't have wanted to get rid of the problem, the dark side, the turning of the dark side of the galaxy. He would be siding with. Bears got screwed in this deconstruction. Correct. I don't accept that as canon. I agree. Jedi can tap the dark side without falling to it, but it's very difficult. I think we can safely ignore anything after Revenge of the Sith. When it comes to Disney Star Wars, yeah, I'm sure someone from Lucasfilm is giving this lady in the article their viewpoints of Revenge of the Sith. Laughed my ass off. Mace Windu was one of the most badass characters ever. He didn't deserve the hate he these days since TCW ended. Yeah, so TCW really just destroyed a lot of characters, especially Mace Windu at the end when Disney took over in season 7. Windu played just the tip with the dark side. Oh my God. So there you go. What do you guys think about this? And I have one more thing I want to touch bases on. Let me go ahead and pull it up because we do need to bring this up. I think it's very important and I should have had it ready, but I didn't. But oh well. But in the meantime, what do you guys think about this? I see the link you sent me, Soul Assassin. Thank you so much. Let me see if I could find it real quick. Scroll down. I thought it was like quick and easy to get to. It should be, but it's not. Here it is. All right, let me go ahead and close my messages. Okay. First of all, let's do this. All right. I think it's very important that I go ahead and bring this up. Let me go ahead and remove before we call it a day with you guys. And I don't think it's going to take long, but I wanted to pay homage. Okay. This is it. So this is, many of you guys might know, and if you don't know, I'm not going to be like, oh, you should know, but this is about Drew Struzan. He is the one who has created some posters for Star Wars under George, the movie posters, some of the novel covers, what have you. So he's legendary artist for Star Wars and other platforms. But this is what Drew Struzan's wife, our family, is saying here. He's going through, basically, he's degenerating now with his age and his mental process. And so this means anytime, he's probably going to leave this world. So I thought I'd pay homage and say thank you and, and comfort to him during this time. So this is what's going on. Good morning, all. I am Drew's wife, Dalen Struzan. I come to you with a heavy heart. Several years ago, Drew was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. As you may know, the early stages are a slow progression of forgetfulness. This happens in the brain when the proteins of the neurons begin to fold improperly. They are called tau tangles. Neurotransmitters can no longer transmit a thought, thinking of it as a log jam. Forgetfulness is often what they think of when this disease is mentioned. The brain malfunctioning. As the disease progresses, the hippocampus, seat of the memory, begins to fail. Think of all the things you can learn throughout life, simply things like how to stand balance, how to walk, how to talk, how to control your bodily functions, how it makes decisions, how to do most anything we do. The hippocampus forgets. It has been said this is the most vulnerable organ in the body. I can believe it. Some doctors Let me go ahead and zoom in. Some doctors believe this disease is irreversible. For years, Drew and I have used the protocols that are supposed to, at the very least, arrest the forward momentum of the disease to no avail. His body has continued to decline. He is still in there, as they say. It seems that specialized brain have an advantage as their knowledge is part of the structure of the brain, not just an add-on stored in the brain. Nevertheless, the loss of coordination of moving the information from the brain to the functional expressions shortchanges abilities. You can no longer paint or sign things for you. He is not enjoying as well-deserved retirement, but rather fighting for his life. So that's all I'm going to read right now. But I just wanted to give you guys information about what's going on with one of these beloved artists here. So he is, I guess you could say, his mental health is declining, and what he loves, he can no longer do. And it's heartbreaking to hear and to witness while I read this to you guys, and even seeing other people I know in my life with Alzheimer's. And just imagine myself as a painter. I could just imagine myself as a painter losing the ability to do what you love. So he's declining. So my well wishes to his family, to him during this time. May he have peace as he starts making his journey, because that's what's going to happen. Whoops. That's what's going to happen. And these are some of the posters he has done. Back to the Future, Goonies, Eddie Murphy, Big Trouble in Little China, even the Muppets movie. So all his pieces of work here. He also has done, let me go ahead and go back to my thread, novels like Shadows of the Empire. So I just thought I would, pay homage to him during this time. My heart goes out to him and his family. Yeah, I know. On a sad, somber note. Yeah. So now's your time to, start collecting some of his stuff, if you can find it. So with that being said, may the force be with him and his family. And I'll probably do reviews on artwork of his and stuff from this point on, and keep my eye out for any progress of his and his family. What can we do other than just pay homage and respect to this man that created these wonderful visuals for the movie franchises we love, right? You could play that song I sent you. It's pretty good. Let me go ahead and find it then. Let me go ahead and find it. Is it a recent one? Something to laugh and enjoy. Which song are you talking about? I'm not going to search for it. I think it's too late for that. So what I recommend you guys to do is, on your social media, share all the artwork that you love of his, just to, show love and comfort and respect. Oh, he's too dangerous to be kept alive. Oh, share homage to this brilliant man, and comfort as well. Share with the family that we are with them during this time, all of that. And I will be doing the same. Dementia and Alzheimer's are hell, especially for family members. And carers. Yeah. All right, you guys. It is coming up 11:30 my time. So I'm going to go ahead and have us close out here. So thank you again, Drew, for your wonderful art. Thank you for bringing this wonderful franchise, you know, visuals to us, I guess you could say. I have a loss of words. I'm sorry. But thank you so much for what you have done, working with George Lucas, creating visuals that we so love and adore about this franchise, and your contributions to that, and my love and respect to the family as well. So thank you guys again. Let me go ahead and play something here. What do I want to play? Let's see here. I think I played all the commercials I have on here. I need to alternate. Let's play this.
Jedi is something that came a little later. When we started building Jedis, we had a lot of Jedis, and we needed more and more Jedis. As we were doing them toward the end, we ended up with a lot of Jedis that looked like people that worked at ILM, with these short little haircuts and looked like they stepped out from behind a computer. And so I was saying we have to get more exotic Jedis. And so we only have so much resources to do these things, but I do have Twi'leks because we use them quite a bit in other areas in the Senate and as background action. So I have a sort of a wardrobe and a setup of certain kinds of characters. So it was a way of reinventing some of those characters. And I had realized that we had a comic book that has a Twi'lek in it that is a Jedi. There's a whole series actually of her. And I said, well, why don't we put her in this? I mean, she's a comic character, but we'll just fit her in and have her be a background character because that's exotic. That's how the Twi'lek Jedi ended up in the backgrounds of these shots, was to try to use some of the work and effort that the guys in the comic book world had put into things and characters they had created.
So yes, thank you, George, with working with your comic creators and stuff to really enhance Star Wars as well. And so our Star Wars Marvel Curse reminded me that Dark Forces Rebel Agent will be this Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If it need to, I could push the time up to like 6 my time instead, if that works out for a lot of you guys. I will be making the link here pretty soon and sharing it on the member boards here on YouTube, so you guys can go register, get the link, and set your time. I will set reminders. I will send reminders but we are getting close, and I need to get that taken care of. But in the meantime, you guys have a great day, and may the Force be with you.
Another happy landing.